All right. So welcome everybody to our first IFC tag meeting. I'll turn it over to Roger Heringa, our chair for today, and open the meeting, and then we'll move on.
Thanks, Dustin. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Roger Heringa. I am a State Building Code Council, a member of the State Building Code Council. I represent the structural engineering community on the State Building Code Council, and I am the alternate chair for the tag. I think that the hope is once that the building code council position related to the fire, I'm not exactly sure, fire department, fire chief. Once that position is filled, I don't remember the exact title of that title, that person would be the building code tag. So my expertise is not necessarily fire engineering, but I certainly have a basic knowledge and will hopefully try to keep our meetings running smoothly and help distribute the work and that type of thing. So I don't have a whole lot more other than to say I appreciate everybody here. I know we are maybe a little short. I think quite a few of the fire folks are at, I don't know if it's a WABO meeting or one of the national meetings this week, and so they probably are, they were not going to be available, but hopefully we can get started and at least get the ball rolling on our work that we have to do in the next in the near future. So with that, Dustin, I will turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you. For those who haven't met me before, my name is Dustin Kerb. I'm with the State Building Code Council staff, and I will be the staff member who coordinates the IBC, IEBC, and the IFC codes in Group 1. I'll also be wrangling some codes in Group 2 as well. And I would like to start off by saying, Roger, you have my vote of confidence as an excellent chair for this group. And with that, we'll kind of kick it off. We don't have our full group here today, but I'm going to go ahead and start by doing a quick roll call for the fire tag. And we don't necessarily really need quorum here today. We're not making any decisions, but we are trying to begin work on our existing amendments and significant changes reports to get ready for the May council meeting. So with that, let me do a quick roll call. For our chair, we have Roger, who is here. For architects, Ning Wang. Not hearing anything. For our architects alternate, Jacob Liddicoat.
Yep, here.
Thank you. For building officials, Quinn Tai.
Here. I actually flew back in at 12:30, so thanks for setting the meeting at 3 o'clock so I could make it home in time.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'm actually doing laundry because I'm leaving again tomorrow for the Wobble meeting, so it actually works out. Thanks.
Cool. Well, thank you for being able to be with us today. For fire officials, Ken Brulette.
Here.
Thank you. For cities and counties, Hugo Sotelo. We do not have an alternate for that one. For the home builder / affordable housing developer, Mike Nykrim.
This is Hugo Sotelo. Sorry, I had some difficulty there.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I'm away from the screen, so I don't see the participants right now. I'm looking at a list of everybody's names. So thank you for speaking up. Mike Nykrim, we don't have a alternate for the home builder or affordable housing developer. So moving on to general contractors or developers, we have William Mybush. And I think if he's here, do you prefer to go by Bill?
It is Bill, and I know that he is traveling earlier this week, so.
Okay. Back in there. Okay, for manufacturers and suppliers, Ricky Campbell.
Yes, present.
Thank you. For fire protection engineers, Walker Danucci.
Here.
Thank you. For
The
fire
alternate
sprinkler-
is also on, Dave.
Okay, Dave's also here.
Yes.
For right now, we're establishing whether or not we have quorum or not, even though it's not necessary. I won't be calling alternates if the primaries are here. But alternates do feel free to participate throughout the meeting if your primary is here. So moving on to fire sprinkler industry, Sean Morgan,
I'm here.
thank you. For building owners and property managers, we have a vacant position, hoping to get that filled. For general public, we also have a vacancy there. Moving on to the fire alarm industry, David Mao. Let's check the participants. Not seeing them. Looking for the alternate for that one, Zachary Tuck.
Here.
Thank you. And then for state enforcement, we have vacancy on that one. And for our last spot, we have the fire chief looking for Lance Dahl.
Lance is doing the state of the department address this week, so he's unable to attend.
Okay, thank you for the info. And with that one, we have 6 out of the 12. We're just barely at the quorum for today. But like I said, we don't have any decisions to really make here today. We're trying to get ready to prepare the reports for the council meeting. Before I jump off into the presentation, is there any comments, questions, or concerns? Or I can jump off into it here pretty quick and get going.
Dustin, I thought of something else that I wanted to bring up. We kind of talked about this on the, the IBC tag that I'm also part of, but as far as, so this is a public meeting. We are subjected to the Open Public Meeting Act, OPMA. So the only thing which, you know, that shouldn't be controversial for us. And I think as we run this meeting, I don't intend it to be an overly rigid meeting. I want people to raise their hands and participate as much as they can, as often as they can. That includes, Dustin talked about, Dave, the primary and second or alternate positions. The only time that really will come into play is when we're doing final votes. My hope is that both primary and alternate positions are contributing, and in fact there also is, we are open to the public. Anybody can call in and participate in our tag meeting. So I do want to talk about the OPMA though, about in a quorum. So if we have it is acceptable to email, talk amongst yourselves, even have a short meeting of 2 or 3 people, or an email chain of 2 or 3 people or 4 people, as long as we don't have a quorum. So if you start having an email string that includes, just call it more than 5, check with Dustin. We want to be careful about doing that, where we could get into trouble with the OPMA, but I would expect that we will have, 2 or 3 of us might focus on a section of the code, and the 2 or 3 of you may very well talk and communicate amongst yourselves. So, but let's just be careful of when we are communicating either by email or phone calls where we have more than 5 or 6 people. So that was the only thing, Dustin, I wanted to add.
Thank you. I'll just elaborate one more little thing. If you do have a communication that you need to get out to everybody in the tag, it would be most appropriate to send it to me or another staff member, and we would disseminate that, and we can avoid the quorum issue on that one. All right, is there anything else before we jump off? All right, seeing no hands. The purpose of today's meeting is to we had an introductory meeting last week, and if you missed that, that's okay. But the purpose of this meeting is to take the fire code and start developing our existing amendment report and our significant changes report. excuse me, State Building Code Council staff has been working on some of these, and we've been finding it difficult to complete our other duties as well as developing these. And so with the fire code, we are on chapter 5 right now. We've got chapters 1 through 4 completed. We also have Ken Brulette here, who has put in some significant time and produced a report. It covers the entirety of the code, and you can expect to get that to help you in the duties here as a reference document. And I'll be sharing that a little bit here today as well. But the plan here is to, I'm going to show an excerpt of the International Building Code because I have it pulled up and ready to go on the documents I have prepped for the IFC. The formatting is a little bit different than what we discussed at the IBC tag. And I'm trying to make sure that all of our reports and things are generated in the same format and fashion. So I'm going to share the IBC code section as just a sample document. And then the bulk of what we're going to do today, and the most important part, is to get some volunteers to take sections or chapters of this code and begin working towards getting our existing amendments and significant changes reports done. This is a little bit of a heavy lift for the group here. We have a schedule that's been adopted by the council, and at our May council meeting, the ask is to have these reports ready for the council to approve and then begin our proposal submission period. So a quick little timeline here. On the 24th, we have the council meeting. Before we get this report to the council meeting, we are needing to get it to the committee, the building fire. The committees have changed a little bit this code cycle, but we want to get it to the committee responsible for this code to approve it for the council. And before that happens, we want to have a few tag meetings to review the work that we're asking people to do here today so that we can confidently submit to the committee and then to the full council. And before we can have those tag meetings, we've got to actually do a little bit of work on the code. So the timeline to meet the deadline of the 24th is just over a month. If you've been at any of our last couple meetings, I know that Ken has voiced that it's a big lift, and we are up against a hard place here. We're trying to do the heavy lift now and scrunch the time so that we can avoid major overlap in the Group 1 and Group 2 codes. As is drafted right now, the Group 2 codes overlap, I think, by about 3 months. And if we get much more overlap than that, the council staff will struggle to have documents prepared when we're working on both Group 1 and Group 2 codes at the same time. And so we're trying to meet a 24th deadline for this section. And it is my hope that during the proposals period that we will have a little bit more room to breathe and time to develop these documents that we'll be working on at that time. So the next ask would be to try to have the reports here for the fire code prepared by the 3rd of May. That'll give us a couple weeks in May to have tag meetings that we're only focusing on the report and finalizing that. I would also hope to have some tag meetings before that, where if we have sections that are prepared and ready to go, we can discuss those and get some things moving forward then. And then the next hard thing that or not hard thing, but next date that I would like to try to put in everybody's mind is a meeting of the tag next week so that we can include some more members who may not be here today, maybe at other events. You know, we talked about the National Code meeting down in Florida that Ty got back from. And so there's some other folks missing from our group then there. So jumping off, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you guys an excerpt from the building code. The only point of showing this is to show kind of the formatting and what we're looking to do when we're doing the work here. So we'll kind of touch on existing amendments first, and then we'll talk about significant changes. And they can be worked concurrently or they can be worked separately. But in the end, they're kind of two reports that paint one picture for the council. So let me clear that. Let's see, share my screen. Okay, so you'll see some contact list there. We're going to, that's Ken's report, sorry. Here we go. So in this document here, I'm gonna scroll up to the top. Like I said, it is the IBC. So it's not relevant to exactly what we're doing. In here, you'll see in red, proposed new state amendments to this code. In the past, these amendments weren't necessary because we weren't always publishing the code with ICC. So when we publish this one, we want to get the wordings changed here from just plain international code to the Washington State Code, and get these in. And highlighted in gray here underneath some of these sections is a rationale saying why some of these new amendments are required or needed. And so I guess I'm jumping off on new amendments, not existing amendments, but it flows in the document a little bit better to just kind of scroll down through it. So when we're working here in these sections, I think most of these editorial changes here in chapter 1, they are taken care of in the chapter 1 that we have for the fire code. They're just presented a little bit differently because we hadn't solidified the tack we wanted to take on the drafting of these amongst the staff. So proposed amendments in red, rationale in black with a gray highlight, and moving down, if you've looked at the code so far, we'll see that in blue is the changes to the model code this season. And then we'll see here, this is another proposed amendment by Stoyan, who worked on this report to make a little change here and there, and his recommendation on why that works. So with the existing amendments, we want to evaluate whether or not the model code changes, or if the model code this season covers the existing amendments, and whether or not the existing amendment is still relevant. So for existing amendments, we're looking at one of three options: to keep the amendment without modification, to delete the amendment because it's covered by the model code language, or 3, modify the amendment and go move forward from there. In here, we got a lot of blue that I'm scrolling by, and I'm trying to get to the first existing amendment in this report. It's tiny and it's green. There it is. So in this one, it says tiny existing amendment. We're going to use green text to show the existing amendments that we're not proposing changes to. And we'll keep recommendations here in the gray highlight. If we scroll down a little bit further, here is a example of an existing amendment with no changes to it. It's a little easier for everybody to see. And so as I'm moving forward, the goal of I think I covered the goal of the existing amendments, and I just want to pause here for a moment and ask if there's any questions from everybody here in the room before I move on to the significant changes kind of portion of my proposal or my presentation.
It would probably be rare, but if we were to modify an existing fire code amendment, if we were going to modify that, I assume that'd be in red text also.
Yes, sir. And that's something we didn't cover in the last meeting, but I think any modification that we're proposing should be red text. And I'll cover some more on that a little bit here. We're gonna, as we assign these out and deliver some documents for everybody to work with, there will be some guideline documents as far as color coding and kind of the mission statement of the task delivered out as well. And I want to let everybody know that for the work after today's meeting, anything we have assigned out, we're going to divvy out chapters to individuals and groups, and give you guys a sample document like the one you have here, so you can see what the drafting kind of looks like. We have a spreadsheet that is kind of going to be the report that we're giving to the council. We're going to give an example of that one that's filled out, and then we'll be given the assigned chapters in blank spreadsheets, a procedural kind of write-up, and a contact list for the tag numbers. And if in today's meeting we decide there's something else that needs to be created and delivered out, we'll cover that, and we can expect that in the delivery. And the expectation is to deliver all these to the members of the tags tomorrow morning. So here after our meeting today, I'm going to be meeting up with our admins, and we're going to get ready to deliver all this to you guys here tomorrow morning. So
Dustin, I got a question. So are you saying that, like, if somebody picks chapter 1, you're going to give them a chapter 1 in Word format like this that's already going to show in green the existing state amendments, or is that the task to put it in?
So the document you will receive it'll be the document we received from ICC. So it's not going to have the existing amendments. It'll just show the changes in model code. So you're going to have black text and blue text only in there.
Okay, so then the task is somebody, so somebody takes that and has to put in the green, and then they are the ones that are going to type in the recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
And then after we get this work done as a tag, as a group, we will review that work and the reports and make sure there's consensus on that. And then hopefully we will be recommending that to the committee, who will then recommend that to the council.
Yeah, Ken, this is my second time through, and it is becoming simpler, more clear the second time through it, but you're going to get the black with the blue changes from the model code. Dustin from the IBC meeting we just had will show you where you can find the current state amendments, and hopefully be able to cut and paste, right? So you'll be able to cut the amendment, like the section 107.2.9 non-structural components that was added there was cut and pasted from the WAC and put in there, inserted in there.
Yes.
And then any red modifications, you do need to read through the whole thing. And if there are red modifications that you see, like just to make it a Washington State building code, we would do that as well.
And just to touch base on the products that we will be sharing with everybody, we do not have the funding to provide physical code books or subscriptions to the ICC premium sites. If you happen to have an ICC premium site access, you do have the ability to cut and paste from there. But if you're going to the free view version, the best place to be able to copy and paste without having to do all the typing is on the legislative website. So if you guys haven't seen this one before, in some of the documents we'll send out, we'll have links to these pages so that you don't have to go searching for them. This right here is our the page that has the Washington Administrative Code for the fire code. And listed here underneath all these, I typically go to the HTML page, not the PDF. And it has all the state amendments. If you've been here before March 15th, you may have noticed that there's amendments from the 2018 code and the 2021 code there. Now that the March 15th date has passed, there is only current 2021 amendments listed on this page. So there's no risk of the confusion. I know that when I was working through this and they had 2018 amendments and 2021 amendments on these pages, if you weren't cognizant of the fact that they might be there and you missed the one little word that says this is a current one or is it becomes effective on this date or whatever, it can become confusing, and there's good chance for misinformation to be had by folks. So I'm happy that it's like it is right now, but I do wish there was a better way for folks to go back and look at old amendments, but that's a challenge that we're facing with the Washington Register. So different issue. So this is my recommended place to come for the amendments. If you go to the ICC site, there is a chance they may not have the most up-to-date amendments. So we have had a couple off-cycle rules and expedited rulemakings that change one or two things here. This is the place that if somebody asks me what the amendment is, this is where I send them to, is this page here. And you can go and see all of the amendments as they are. And if there's something that's upcoming that becomes effective in a later date, that'll be listed there. But for the most part, this should be ready to go for folks to not be having to worry about having an amendment that's going to become not effective later. Running back to the existing amendments, I'm not going to move the page just yet. The goal is, like I said earlier, to insert the existing amendments into the body of the code text. And then after we get that in there, the goal is to recommend keeping the amendment as is, modifying the amendment, or striking the amendment because it's covered by model code language. And that's pretty much the gist of the existing amendments report. When we get to the significant changes report, the main change there is to identify the cost associated with these model code changes that the state hasn't had a chance to evaluate yet. So, for example, going back to this section here, or the report for the IBC I was showing, we come up here, model code changes are going to be shown in blue. And there is a little bit of contention on how these colors can be used because they aren't necessarily accessible for folks who have vision impairments. So if we have anybody here who has issue with the colors, please let us know. We can make some accommodation for that. We don't have a agreed upon way to show changes in the code text that is accessible for everybody. So we're asking if anybody needs accommodation to let us know. We can work with that at that point. So for model code text, we're looking for the significant changes. We're going to be, I guess, asking everybody to look at all of the blue text, and if it's a giant section like we have here in 1047, you don't necessarily need to give me a analysis of every single section in there. You could group your comment to the whole section there if you wanted, but we're going to be looking for moved sections, modified sections that have cost, and if it's a minor cost, it's not as important, but significant cost increase to construction, we're looking to identify and include in our reports. And just to show a quick version of the reports that we're looking. So this is an example of the sheet that we'll be sending out to you. In this Excel sheet, we have some tabs at the bottom. One's for the existing amendment review, one's for the significant changes. And you'll notice that they have, for the most part, the same information on them, other than in the significant changes, we have some costs. And is there an amendment needed to this section? We're looking to see if the new model code language conflicts with anything in Washington law or regulation there. So,
should on the upper left there, should that be the 2024 code section?
It should be. Yes.
Okay. I just saw that and I thought that was the case, but
yeah. So on these, I'm glad you caught it, Roger. We'll get it fixed up before we send out to anybody. But these are created kind of based on the reports that were done for the 2021 cycle, and so there is room for a little bit of a goof there. So we're trying to produce consistent reports across the code cycles, and we're modeling after the one last year or last cycle, I'm sorry. And before I move on much further, does anybody have any comments, questions, concerns so far?
Hey, Dustin, on the Word document, I think one of the challenges might be chapter 33. You know about that when we tried to work on the 2021, half of that chapter 33 was changed. And so I think that's going to be a challenge for whoever's going to be working on that one.
And I'll touch base that we don't necessarily only need one person working on one chapter as well. In the building code tag group, we had, on certain sections that were, maybe identified as not as challenging, we've got one individual working on those. On some of the structural stuff, we've got multiple people working on that. So I'm glad you pointed that out, Quinn. Chapter 33 was a bit of a doozy, drafting for what's going on. So I do believe, though, that as that was drafted last year, that it should line up with the 2024 layout. I haven't analyzed that section yet, but that's kind of what I remember reading in the, a lot of those changes in Chapter 33 were coming from the
Yeah,
2024.
I will volunteer for 33 since, yeah, pretty much the review I did, it's delete all the state amendments except for maybe just a couple sections. So it'll be easy.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and put your name down for 33, Ken.
Piece of
Sounds good,
cake.
Ken. Yeah, I haven't looked at the 2024 yet, but I just remember working on the state version, and man, that was a doozy.
33 was fun to be PC about it. So the main goal of today's meeting is to get some volunteer action from the folks who are here. I have a list of the chapters with amendments here in my notes, and we're looking to, I guess, in the building code tag, we kind of identified the structural section first and got some people with the expertise in that field to sign up for those first. And so I would, I guess, open it up to conversation from those here. If you're an interested party and you have a section in mind that you'd like to work on, we can go however we get the hands raised, or we could go chapter by chapter or some groupings. It depends on how everybody wants to work this one. And we don't necessarily have to get every single chapter assigned here today, but that is kind of the goal. And any of the chapters that don't have state amendments, we still want to take a look at them and make sure there's nothing there that's going to maybe require a new amendment this code cycle. So I guess to start off with, we've got chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 covered, and we will kind of be starting at chapter 5 and moving down the road. So I'm going to pull up the table of contents here on the fire code, and we will begin at chapter 5, and we can do them in like I said, some groupings or individual chapters. It depends on who's volunteering for what. So there's chapter 5.
I'm just going to make a blanket statement that Dustin, I'll be able to help on every single chapter since I've already done the work. So I'll just wait for anybody else to volunteer for those chapters too.
Maybe also before we jump off, I will share Ken's report that he's prepared. So we have that here. It looks a lot the same as the spreadsheet that I showed earlier. The columns might be a little bit different or a little bit ordered different. But he has taken the time to go through the entire code and do some analysis on it. So, Ken, would you mind just talking about the document and the colors that you have used here?
Sure. I'm sorry. I'm looking at an updated version.
Okay.
I have an updated version that I put the hyperlinks to each of the state, the 2021 in here. So what I did is I took the 2024 code section and also put next to it the 21 code section number so you could see if there was a difference or not. The purple in here wherever you see purple, that was a reference to an existing WAC, like Dustin showed us on the table. And in the current document I'm working on, it has I have a link that you could just click on that number and it will show it to you. And then if you scroll down a little bit, Dustin, to the next, just keep scrolling.
Like chapter 3.
Yeah, probably. There you go. So like valet trash, stop there for a second. So if it's in blue, it's all new language in the 2024 code. So just like the so-called red line version of the 2024 code, it will show all the new 2024 language in blue. And then I just kind of put in a brief synopsis of what it was and then my little recommendation on it. The one right below the valet trash, it will show that there's a complete new number 4104.2 versus our existing 308.14. And I wrote this section is not adopted in Washington State, which you're going to have to check your WAC because I don't think that WAC is showing up right now as this is not adopted. And
So
then
that was one of the expedited rules. We just filed that as not adopted. So in the 2021, this one did get adopted. And so we in the WAC published online, it hasn't finished that flow yet.
Okay.
The state register is still catching up with that one.
Okay, but that's pretty much the color coding. The blue is new for 24. The purple is existing state WACs or amendments that we have. And then the reviewer comments are just my comments personally. The cost impact and the WAC amend needed, the whole yes, no thing, just in my spreadsheet, just ignore it because I didn't really go down through each one yet. But I guess my ask to you guys, Dustin, is that when it comes to the cost impact, are you okay if we use the cost impact that was stated in the documents provided at the national level for that particular code change?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, because that's what, and that would be one document that I don't know if people have I mean, it's free access to if people just bring it up or not. And I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It's the complete code change monograph.
I mean, I've been into
Familiar
it
with it.
before, but it's not one of the ones I'm readily able to just go navigate to real fast at the moment.
Okay.
But
Well,
if you could, do you
yeah, I
have a
have it. I
link to
can
that?
show
You
it really.
could,
Yeah. Let me just go ahead and
I mean, you can
let
show
me
it if you
share it.
want.
I'll
I
just
can
give
allow you
somebody.
to.
Yep. You just have to stop sharing. There you go. Okay. So this is an example. Let me pull it up. All right. You seeing a screen 3 now?
Yeah,
we're
I don't know which
seeing-
number, but yeah, we see a screen.
Does it show section 603?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it is the monograph. Yep.
Okay, so if you, this is like the monograph, so it shows the code change that happened if you're not familiar with the monographs, and then they'll have a cost impact statement in here. So some of the big lift is always saying, well, what is the cost impact? But if we go back to finding that section that got modified and seeing what the original cost impact was, I think it's just fine, like Dustin just said, just to use that as our explanation for cost impact for any of the changes from the 21 to 24. I think that's fair enough. With regards to any state amendment ones, you know, that's on the individual to figure out, but I just think this would be helpful. So this
It certainly
document
is a
here,
starting point.
yeah, exactly. It's a starting point. So I'll send a link to this, Dustin, to you.
Okay, and I'll include that in our kind of I'm going to be sending out a couple other links as well, and I would love to include that in the document so that people don't have to go searching for it.
And can I ask Ken and Dustin, that appears to include the IBC as well?
Yes.
Yes, yeah,
So
it's the complete.
we should make sure that we distribute that on the IBC question as well. That question came up during our call for the IBC.
But
Oh.
just note that it's only for group 1. So there's there's only half the IBC was in this code session.
Yeah, you're right.
All right. So I guess back to the chapters we're looking at. So Ken, you have graciously put your name on all the chapters, and I appreciate that. Does anybody have any chapters that they would like to I'm not screen sharing, am I?
We're
Apologies.
seeing your face. Dustin, I'll do 11 through 30 or 25. I don't want to take too much, but yeah, I can do 11 to 25.
11 to 25.
Yeah. 12 is really what I like, but I'll take 11 to 25.
Gotcha.
I could help with 10 too, because 10 is always a big one too, as well.
Gotcha. But you prefer to be primary, like, and not that we have a primary or alternate.
Yeah.
But primarily on the 11 and 12 through 25.
Yep.
So
Okay.
Quinn, you love chapter 12 energy storage systems?
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
Wait till you see my 24 code change proposal.
Is that the same one as I saw on the national? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you love the proposal that you saw at the national level, Quinn?
I stay neutral.
Very, very safe. All right. Anybody
Dustin,
else that they want to call out, that they want to volunteer for?
I think chapters 7 through 11 would make sense for me.
All right, Walker.
Dustin,
Yes, sir.
can you share the chapters?
Oh,
you
yes,
got- you're
that's why I was asking about my screen share. I was trying to,
Yep.
I was looking at
Yep.
it on my screen and then realized I wasn't doing it.
How many are
So,
you looking for each chapter or each?
I'm honestly, I'm looking for at least one name on all of the chapters. So, if we get some crossover, that's okay. Or multiple people on some groups, there's no limit. And I guess if we get multiple people working on some of the same things, I would just ask that you coordinate amongst yourselves and make sure that, maybe not doing double duty on that. And then you got to correlate, different things as we get them turned in.
Because
And
I'm
ahead.
somewhat familiar on architect side for 7 through 11. So, but I'm new to all this. So if there's others around me, I'll figure it out.
And gotcha, Jake. Thank you.
So Dustin, one of the things that I could do, since I'm not sure yet, is whatever ones we don't have names on, put my name on it.
Okay.
Once we get done, because I do have to leave a little bit early, so I basically everybody's taking the meaty ones, so I'll take a lot of the little ones.
Okay, and just to like anything that doesn't get assigned today, we will kind of circle back and touch base on, and then I will put your name on the other ones, Dave, and I appreciate it. And any other ones, I can put my name on as well. I'm not trying to push all this to the tag, so I'll have input as well.
I think the ones that have a lot of the big parts of it have been taken pretty well, so the other ones can have little pieces here or there for the most part. So definitely willing to share, but if there's not a name on it, I'd be willing to cover for that.
Got you. Thank you, Dave. So looking at the list here, I'm looking at specifically sections that have state amendments in them. So I'd like to just touch base on 5 and 6. Does anybody want to hop on for those two chapters?
I will definitely hop on to chapter 5
Okay.
and 6 as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Ricky.
Yep.
Go ahead. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Looking at the next chapter we have no names on for existing amendments. I've got chapter 31. Which is right here. We got tents, temporary structure, temporary special event structures, and other membrane structures. Does anybody have a desire to jump on that one? And we can take a quick look at the amendment if you want to. 31, there's not a whole lot here as far as amendments go.
Dustin, go ahead and give that to me too, since it doesn't look
And-
like there's a lot for the 12 to 25 for me.
Gotcha. And there's just one amendment to that section, and then we'll just be looking at the other model code changes.
Yep.
Uh,
So
the
I'll go ahead
next-
and do that.
Okay, gotcha. The next one is chapter 36. Well, which is marinas. And let's see what we got for amendments in here. Looks like a couple sections here. We got the scope. One amendment in 3601. We got some definitions that are defined in chapter 2. We just have to double check that those are taken care of as well. And then fire protection equipment. So this is the largest one in chapter 36. Does anybody want to volunteer for that one?
Dustin, I'll take that one. And that's chapter 36, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, the next one that we have amendments in is chapter 49 and chapter 50. So where did that go? So 49 fixed guideway transit and passenger rail systems. And then it looks like our amendment in chapter 50 is reserved, so we don't have to worry about that one so much.
I can help with 49.
49 is Walker, thank you.
Yep. Some experience there.
And then let's see, moving on, we got chapter 53 is the next one. Medical gas systems. Let's make sure that that's the title of that chapter in the new code. 53 compressed gases, and then we got some stuff for 5306. Does anybody want to hop on to chapter 53?
I'll do it. Dave,
Dave, thank you. And then our next one is chapter 56 and 57. So that's up here. We got explosives and fireworks. That sounds like a fun one. And flammable and combustible liquids, another fun one.
I'll do both those.
Dave, gotcha. And then our last, we got two more with state amendments. We've got chapter 61. Liquefied petroleum gases. Does anybody want to hop on that one?
Toss it my way.
Okay. And then the last one is the reference standards, chapter 80.
Happy to do it.
And okay. So with the remaining ones that we haven't identified, we've got some in this code, some big reserved sections. I'm gonna skip back, and we've got chapter 26 through 30, which is where we'd be just looking for significant changes. So I'm gonna scroll back up to 26.
And Dustin, I do have to jump off to get to another meeting, so I had to fill my time, move my time around to be able to come today. So I will just leave my statement out that if anybody doesn't want one, I'll take it.
Okay, well, I appreciate your attendance today, Dave, and appreciate the willingness to do some heavy lifting. And we won't assign them all to you, I promise.
No problem. Take
All
care.
right, you have a good day. All right, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. So we got fumigation and insecticidal fogging, semiconductor fabrication facilities, lumber yards, and agro-industrial solid biomass and woodworking facilities, and manufacture of organic coatings and industrial ovens. Does that sound like, I'm gonna volunteer for those ones because I don't have my name on here yet. All right, so that puts us down to 32. Oop. Give me one moment. My dog has decided to start barking.
I'd be on 32. I deal with that in my jurisdiction quite a bit.
Thank you, Jake. All right, next one, 34 and 35. We've got tire rebuilding and tire storage, and welding and other hot work.
So Dustin, let me just ask you a question. So when there was no changes in a chapter from 21 to 24 and no state amendments, you still want them to review the chapter?
So I guess the answer to that question is I haven't reviewed all of these chapters as you have. And so if I'm calling out a chapter for review and it doesn't have any changes or state amendments, it's the fact that I am not aware of that at this high level viewing of the chapters.
Okay, yeah, you kind of are. So
Okay.
you're gonna send them just chapters that have no changes whatsoever.
Okay, well, would you, for the good of the order, would it be best to jump off with what we've got and I can look at the rest of these chapters and see which ones have any changes in them, and we
Yeah,
can base
I'm
at the
pretty
next meeting?
sure I'm pretty sure my report only included changes between the 21 and 24. So if I did not put anything down for chapter 32, then there would have been no changes.
I might almost recommend, Dustin, that we do that. We jump off with what we've got. I think that we have quite a few members of our tag that aren't here yet. And certainly I would volunteer if there's 10 chapters that people don't think there are any changes. I would be happy to spend some time going through those and just making sure, as there are reference to international code. I know on the IBC, changing international to Washington State, so I could maybe identify those things, but having somebody just go through 10 chapters that don't appear to have anything, but we have somebody putting eyes on it and to make sure, so.
Well, I think what Ken was saying is that he has done that, and so
Yeah.
I'm gonna scroll
Okay.
through here and just check to see where we've got. So I've got my chapters that have amendments and chapters that don't. I'm gonna get down to 32 and we'll just do a quick review.
Yeah, there's just some words like protected by a sprinkler system. They added in the word "and automatic," just things like that were not significant enough to be part of a significant changes report.
Gotcha.
So that's what my understanding was. The significant changes was just that it was a significant change and not just an editorial change.
Well, that's the idea, is to get it. It's just we haven't had a chance as the staff to fully go through it as you have. So I would rely right now on the absence of information in your report, Ken, to say that chapter 32 probably doesn't need an assignment, and it looks like 34 and 35 are not included. Let me just make some notes here.
And I'm just cruising along in the red. Yeah, I'm just cruising along in the red line version while you're talking right now, just to double check. But like 34, there was absolutely no changes. 35, they added the word automatic in front of sprinkler. I mean, yeah, I guess if there was I don't, never mind. You guys don't have any money to buy all of these volunteers any books. 37 has absolutely no changes.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's why I went through every single chapter and created that, so it'd make it a little bit easier for people.
Gotcha. Well, I think at this point that the best tack forward would be to move with what we've got assigned here, and then I will go through and look at what you got here, Ken, and if we find something that has a significant change in it, we'll touch base at a subsequent meeting on that. Does that sound good for the order,
Yeah.
Roger?
Did you have chapter 39 down? I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you have 39 down, processing extraction facilities for somebody?
I have it on my list, but scrolling through your report, it was not included in here. So are you saying that there was a significant change in 39?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember if we have the same numbering. Yeah, I would just put 39 down for somebody just to take a look at, just to double check.
Okay. All right, so I've got 39 and 41 that are included in here. Does anybody want to hop on those ones? And then we'll reassess exactly which ones need a little bit more work on this one at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll do 39, 41, Hugo.
Okay. All righty, so with that, the path forward that I am seeing at the moment is we're going to take the names that we have here on this list. We will disseminate some chapters to everybody, and we will meet back. It's my desire to get a meeting going next week to A, cover what we've done so far, and then B, to kind of set a schedule for the future tag meetings. So I would ask that those that are here today kind of just look at the schedules that you have and make sure that if we're going to have them on Tuesdays, for example, that Tuesdays work for you. And if there's an AM, PM request, I think that we're going to talk about it at the next meeting. And it's my desire to get another meeting on the books for us next Tuesday, if that works for the folks that are here, and probably in the afternoon as well, just to touch base about setting a schedule and making sure that we're moving forward. And then we'll also touch base on chapters that don't have any significant amendments. So I guess back to what you guys can expect. I got a sample document for what we're trying to draft, a sample spreadsheet for you can use like Ken's here. We can probably take a lot of information that's in Ken's report and put it into our own stuff. So you'll get Ken's report as well. You'll get the chapters. They're going to be chopped up. Oh, one thing I didn't cover in the IBC meeting is to make sure that I'm aware of everybody's like data limits on their email for attachments. For us here at the staff, we're limited to 30 megabytes as for an attachment. I don't know if everybody's aware of what their organization might limit them to, but I guess when we email out everything, we'll give you a list of what's supposed to be attached. And if you're missing anything, let us know so we can give you more that way. We'll give you a blank spreadsheet. We're going to do a procedural write-up and contact information for everybody. And I guess, does anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns about kind of what we went over here today before we let you go?
So this is Hugo. To clarify, are you gonna send out a kind of follow-up email about the discussions that we've had and assignments, and then a breakdown of all of the spreadsheets and copy of this document as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're gonna give you this document. We'll give you some sample documents that are completed. We'll give you the assignments that we have out for everybody. And then we'll give you some blank spreadsheets and anything else that you might need. If you decide, if you find that you need something else to help you in the work, let us know. And me and other staff are always open for helping everybody out as well. So I welcome any phone calls, emails to get you guys rolling if you need any extra assistance. All righty. Anything else from anybody?
So what day are we meeting next week?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay. Is that going to be Tuesday every day until further notice?
Well, so the idea is at next week's meeting, when we should have more members present, that we discuss what works best for the majority of the group and set a schedule based on that.
All right. Sounds good.
And Dustin, I'm going to get on my correlating soapbox. Can we get an idea of who is on the IBC correlating or correlated chapters? So if we're working on the same chapter that's in the fire
So
code as it is in the
it's
building
my
code.
intent to give the contacts of all the tag members to every tag member.
Okay, but with the assignments of what chapter they're working on.
Oh, I can do that, yes.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
that
like
would just be
7,
helpful.
9, 10 certainly come to mind, right, Ken?
Yeah, definitely 9 and 10, and then also, like construction and stuff like that. And yeah, there's definitely a few chapters that cross over that we need to make sure we need to duplicate efforts, basically.
Yeah, we can't amend it one way in the building code and a different way in the fire. Yeah, we need to, duplicate basically.
Yes, agreed. So I'll get the chapter assignments for the IBC folks out to you guys. I don't have chapter assignments for the IMC or the energy code if you guys are interested in those yet, but we can disseminate those if you need them.
Mostly building and fire that have the duplicate content.
Gotcha. All righty. Does everybody feel like they know where to jump off at this point? And I think as Roger has mentioned, it may seem convoluted, and it seems like as we do the work, it becomes more clear exactly what's happening. This will be my first code cycle working with everybody. My exposure so far with the rulemaking has been through, small rule changes, not working on a whole code at once. So
Dustin, when you send an email out, can you send a quick, kind of like a short timeline of due dates and, like what we're expecting to see, what our goals, milestones are?
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
For like right now for the task at hand, I'll cover the dates that we talked about here today. For anything beyond the May meeting, we're kind of working off the schedule that was adopted by the council and trying to meet those deadlines and dates. So I'll include that as well, with the dissemination documents.
Perfect. Thanks.
I just want to say how much I appreciate everybody jumping in compared to the IBC. Everybody, I appreciate everybody's willingness to volunteer.
Yes, I would say it wasn't quite like pulling teeth, but we had to. There's some protracted silence when you call for volunteers on the IBC. So I would like to echo that sentiment. That appreciate
And-
the willingness.
And I would suggest if you volunteered for a bunch, there are a fair number of people that aren't on the call yet. So happily turn those over to some other people at our next meeting when they're here. So.
And one of the other things is I know that this meeting notification came out kind of short notice. So it will be the desire to try to get stuff out ideally a week before, but it's probably not going to work like that. But get you a couple days before the meeting, so hopefully we have a schedule that we can expect stuff like that to come out and have some time to review the documents before the meetings. So I appreciate everybody's time and willingness to help out on this. It's a big lift in the state of Washington. Thanks you. I thank you, and I think the council will thank you as well.
Hey, Dustin, real quick, is it the expectation to have a reoccurring meeting, same date and time frame? If so, I think it'd be ideal if you sent out like a voting poll or something to the members that we're not kind of openly trying to figure out everyone's schedule next week. If we know that ahead of time, I think that would probably save us a lot of time and energy.
I can do that. Send out a voting poll, and we'll talk about time during the day of the week and so forth, and maybe length of the meeting as well. It's kind of my hope to maybe limit meetings to about an hour and a half to 2 hours for most instances. And maybe if we need a couple extra meetings more than what we have scheduled, keep those limited in time because I want to be respectful of everybody's primary roles.
Perfect, thanks.
All righty. If there's nothing else, I'll turn it over to Roger. You're muted, Mr. Roger.
I don't have anything else. Again, I appreciate everybody jumping on and digging in and look forward to working with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you. I guess that adjourns the meeting then, and
Yes.
thanks again, and we will see you next Tuesday. And if you have any questions about, in between now and tomorrow morning or after tomorrow morning with the stuff that's sent out, by all means, reach out and I'm available.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Dustin.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dustin. Thanks, Roger.